All right, here we go. Another one of these podcast episodes. I'm glad we're here today. I'm here with my amazing wife, Amber Walker, and we're going to talk today a little bit with you guys about marriages and
Yes.
about relationships, man and wife, how you get along good, how do you do it well. Amber and I are celebrating our 23rd wedding anniversary, so we've been married now 23 years, and it's going really good. So, hello, Amber. How are you?
Hello, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. It is a good new year.
Yes.
Thanks for joining me on this. I know
Mhm.
this is your first time doing one of these, so
Yes.
it's going to be a lot of fun. Tell everyone a little bit about yourself, who you are, and what you do. What do you do? Tell it. Well, they know you're married to me, right? We've been
Yes.
married a long time. Tell us, what do you do at Dunamis Church? What do you do?
Okay. Well, I think I've been serving you with you for as long as we can remember, right?
Mhm.
And I first started off with children's ministry,
Mhm.
and I did that for a long time. Still doing that, just kind of overseeing everybody, and now just getting up more on stage, helping you more with transitions and announcements and stuff, and speaking more. Yeah.
Cool. So how long have you been doing kids ministry? Because I know even before you and I were pastoring together, or before we were senior leading a church,
Yeah.
you've been doing kids ministry for a long time. How long do you think?
Man,
Like, when was the first year you started, you think?
it's been a really long time. I think I've honestly been doing it before I even met you.
Yeah, I think you were. So that would
CLC
be
days.
20 plus years then.
Yeah.
25 years you've been working with kids.
Yeah, I would say so.
So that's a long time. Now you're a homeschool mom.
Yes.
So, well, kind of more of a hybrid type now, but
Yeah.
you started off homeschooling your kids. And how long did you homeschool the kids for? Your daughters, Caitlin and Kinsley, how long?
Caitlin started at about 5 years old. That was very nerve wracking. I always was like, no, I can't do it. I'm going to put her in school. And so now we just put her in high school.
Yeah, she's in high school now.
Yeah.
And
doing great.
You homeschooled Caitlin and Kinsley together.
Yes.
For a while too.
Yes.
And
we
then
did them both together.
Yeah, and then we
even
got
Kinsley before she was even at school age to do homeschool. So
yeah,
she
so
learned quicker.
It was a little bit crazy at first, right? Was that scary for you to do that?
Yes, very scary. I think as any mom, we all, wonder if we're doing the right thing, teaching our kids the right thing. But I think now that we see her in high school and her flourishing and trying the best that she can, she's doing great.
Yeah, that's right. Our
Kinsley,
oldest
too.
daughter, 15, in high school, ninth grade,
Yeah.
finished her first semester, did great.
Yes.
Got A's and B's and one C.
Well, maybe 2 C's.
And
Biology too.
yeah, and she's doing great. That's her first time being in a public school with 2,500 kids. It was a big change for her, but she's doing great.
Mm-hmm.
And now she's really excited to go on to the next semester and do even better at that. So
Kinsley's doing great too.
Yeah, Kinsley's in the Dunamis school at the church. She's doing fantastic. So if you thinking about marriage, right? And you, like I said, you and I have been married a long time, and now there's some people out there that have been married 40 years, 30 years, 50 years, 60 years. Those are harder to find. But once you've been married for more than 20 years, which is where we're at 23,
Mm-hmm.
you really learn a lot about about living with someone and being a partner, but not only just being a partner, but being someone who works together as a team, and you and I really work together as a team. We do that in everything that we do. We do ministry together. We do life together. We do everything together. Mm-hmm. So if we think about communication, what is it, like listening, talking with each other? What is it that you can help us with, anybody that will be watching, as far as how to communicate? What's the best way to do it? What works the best for you? What have you kind of learned about communicating with me? I guess is what it would be.
I think the best way, honestly, learning that you and I have learned is to not let things I like to hold things in and
Sure.
not to do that. I think it took me a long time over the years, and you would always tell me that too. Like, don't let stuff bottle up, and I would do that for a long time. I think until I finally was just like, I don't know if it was just because I was so timid and not knowing really what to say about it, or because I tend to just cry when I when my feelings come out. So I don't
Yeah.
like looking like, not that I don't like looking weak, but it's just hard when you're sitting there crying, trying to talk about your feelings too. But I wanted to, also
Yeah.
be open and honest with you. So I think not holding those things in, and just to speak it when the problem arises too, rather than
Hmm.
letting it fester into weeks or something, days.
Yeah. Or even months
Yeah,
sometimes.
months. Yes.
I know, like when you and I were first married, right? Early on,
Mhm.
that's what you would do. Because guys, we think like, okay, no one's talking.
So
Everything
everything's
is good.
good.
Yeah. And ladies are like, no one's talking. Everything is bad.
Yes.
Something's wrong.
Yes.
So we're the opposite in that. And I know that that would happen for you early on. You would bottle things up. And I thought everything was fine because we weren't really talking much about anything at all.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, and so what I learned was I needed to communicate more with you to get you to communicate more with me.
Yeah.
So in those days of our early marriage, that's what I would do. I would try it. And I wasn't good at it. No one is. Nobody goes into these relationships being good at this. You got to learn.
Yeah.
So I would try to pull things out of you. And then as we grew together, you got more comfortable with being open and letting what you're feeling be known. And now I think you're actually better at communicating even than I am now. Um, so
Mm.
what do you think about that? I mean, do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Maybe. Definitely. I always have to tell you, and even sometimes now I have to tell you, like, let's take the pastor hat off now.
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
need you to be my husband.
Sure, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
And we do that. And I feel like now what you do is you say you'll sit me down. Like you want to talk about something, you'll just sit me down. Let's sit down.
Yeah.
And I can always tell.
Like
You know
there
what?
has to be
Like
some
something's
kind of
coming.
appointed
Something's
time
coming.
or
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
And I think we're at the place now where it's usually not even about us. It's
Yeah.
nothing. It's
No.
it's other things. It's dealing with the
Bothering
church.
us. Yeah.
It's dealing with the people in the church. It's dealing with all
Yeah.
the things that people bring. But there are times where we have to have serious discussions about things. And I feel like now you do that. Like you will come to me with what's on your mind. And like I said,
Yeah.
we've been married a long time, so you should be able to do that. So
Yeah.
what would you say to a person who's the one who bottles it up
Mm-hmm.
and then it explodes or breaks down either way? What would you say to those people? What can you tell them to do to make it easier?
I would say just try as much as you can to not let it get to that point, because it is very frustrating. I think when I would do that, because then I would just cry and because we're so emotional anyway, women. But I know some women are not like that necessarily. But then it can come out just the opposite and lashing out
Sure.
and causing fights or something. That was never the case for us, but I know that happens. So I would say to not let it get that far. If something is really bothering you, I would say to just, stop in the moment and just be like, hey, like we need to work on this instead of letting this get farther.
Yeah, and like for guys, I would say talking is a good thing.
Yeah.
Because for guys, we're like, "Uh-oh, we got to talk." No,
Yeah.
but it is a good thing because that communication is opening up every line that we need open.
Yeah.
Whether it's a person who's more talkative, someone who's less talkative, it doesn't matter. We got to get the communication moving so we can work out whatever it is that needs to be worked out. And sometimes, like we said, it's not anything bad. It's just communicating.
Yeah. Plus, it leaves no room for the enemy to try to get in there and try to talk more things into
Yeah.
like, oh, you don't need to talk to him about this, or whatever.
Messing with your thought
Yes,
life.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So being honest in dialogue and being honest in communication is something that's key. What about this? What about keeping promises? Or what about valuing each other's opinions? Like sometimes promises like I promise this or that. It's probably, if you look at more of a biblical perspective, would be more like just saying, "Listen, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do it,"
Yeah.
and then just following through and doing it. Or I'm going to make this happen and then just make it happen. But you can't just promise and promise and promise and never deliver.
Yeah.
And then that just becomes frustrating.
Yeah. Like an example. Like what? What do you mean?
Yeah, like just for anything.
Yeah.
Anything you're promising. Oh, I'm gonna. I promise you, I will not leave the toilet seat up anymore, or I promise I will, put toilet roll on there. I'll change the
Yeah.
paper out. I promise I won't leave my stuff laying around. I promise I'll
Yeah.
promise. You can promise to death,
And
but
then
you got
not
to
really
start
doing it.
following through. Yeah,
Yeah.
you got to start following through. What about valuing each other's opinions? Like you and I usually see things from a different perspective,
Yeah.
but
Which is good too, because
which
then
is
you get
good.
the other side's perspective of it. Yeah.
Yeah, you get the other side. So to value each other's opinion is a good thing. What do you feel about that? Like you have opinions, you have things, you have input, things you're like, man, I think it should be like this or like that. And I have learned to listen to you more and more and more,
Yeah. I
as
think
we've
we
gotten
just
older.
talked about this just
Yeah.
recently, actually, because I'm like, I think you need to start listening to me more because I have some good insight on it.
And you do.
Yeah,
It's totally
which
true.
is totally fine. But I know, as the lead pastor, like I know there's like a lot of things that you're thinking about, not necessarily always thinking about others. Like what? Not that that's bad, but yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
just to take.
So one of the things I
Other
think as
stats.
guys we need to do is listen to our wives because you guys have a lot of insight, you have a lot of experience, you have a different way of seeing things.
Yeah.
You're always thinking about, and that's another thing that I've learned about a woman's mind. That sucker is always moving.
Always.
It is
yes.
always thinking about something. It is always processing. So, I'll often ask you too, Amber, what do you think about this? This is
Yeah.
what we're thinking of doing. This is what we've got going on. What do you think? And I think that really works well.
Yeah, and if there's something that we are both unsure, we just go to the Lord and ask Him.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you just pray about it and just say, all right, God, we don't know.
Yeah.
So we're just going to ask you about it. What about, think about this, some common challenges that we have. One of them, I think the biggest one probably in marriage, one of the biggest ones is finances.
Mm-hmm.
The challenge of finances, usually one person in the relationship is better at finances than the other. But it's not always the same, always true.
Sure.
But usually one person is. And I think it's easy for us to just, it's easier. You'll have a better life if you just let the one that is better at the finances be in charge of the finances.
But then what if you have people that aren't?
Yeah. Like two people that are just terrible at it.
Yeah.
Well, then you better get some help. Yeah. You better get some help. Usually, and that does happen. That's rare. That's a more rare. Usually one person is good at it and one person is not so good at it. And so how do you, so for us, you are better at finances than me. You're great at it.
Mm-hmm.
So you control the finances in our marriage, but how do you do it so that it's not a control that you use against other person?
Yeah.
Something you use as a weapon, right?
Yeah. Sometimes I'll be like, okay, you gotta stop spending.
Yeah.
But then you have to really follow through with it and be like, okay, I gotta stop.
Yeah, exactly. And then how could you weaponize that against me, for instance? How could you use finances as a
I
weapon,
think
like
that could
to
even
try to
go in
control?
with fights too. I'll be like, well, I'm always the one taking care of it.
Yeah,
so,
sure. Yeah. And even what about parenting differences? Sometimes we think differently as far as how to
Yeah.
parent. Finances is like, okay, the way I see finances is you know what, you're the one controlling it, and I want to honor that because we've always been blessed ever since we did this from the beginning.
Yeah.
You were doing this because we understood that. How I realized it was how much money you had in the bank compared to how much money I had in the bank.
Yeah.
And I was making way more money than you were.
Yeah.
And I was spending also way more money than you were.
Yes.
And so I was like, okay, this is obvious.
Yeah.
You're the one that's good at this. So but by doing that, I honor you in that, and I do whatever you tell me to do regarding finances. But then some of the bigger decisions you ask me to take control of.
I don't like the bigger ones, like the house or the cars or stuff like that. Like that's harder for me to let that much money go.
Yeah, and we work together on that. So I'll be like, okay, I can find the house.
Yeah.
It's got to be something you like. But you have to tell me like, what's the budget?
Specifics or something. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you want in the house? What's
Yeah.
the budget? So we work together on that. For me, I'm not so much. I don't really care about the house, as much as you do, as far as what's in it and how it's laid out and all that.
Yeah, I think we're much more detailed than that for sure.
Yeah. So when you walk in the house, it's got to be something you really like.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the way to do that is honoring each other in those things. You, as the one in control of finances, can't weaponize it against me by using it as a way to start fights or end fights, even, or instigate something. Like, oh, well, you better do this, or you can't have this, or you won't get that, or whatever.
Yeah, like not taking control of it like that. That's too much.
It's so. Would you say more like you're like a steward of the finances?
Yeah,
Because really, our finances belong to the Lord, if you think about it.
of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So think about the parenting differences. I think that you and we
I
kind of
think
came from
because
the
we have
same.
girls, I'm more like the hardcore, and you're more the like
Yeah.
go with the flow. Sometimes, I mean, maybe
Yeah.
most of the time, just because like you're always saying like women need to raise women. And,
Yeah. It does. It takes a man to raise a man, and it takes a woman to raise a woman. And
so
it
I
is
might be
true.
a little more hard on Caitlin sometimes. I mean, I feel that. But
Well, I think with the girls, right? Since you're the woman and you are raising these women,
yeah,
it's something that you are doing. You're the one training and often disciplining them. However, when they were little, I was disciplining them too.
yeah,
And
that's
we
true.
were parents who spanked our kids. Obviously we don't beat them, but
Yeah,
the key to using spanking in raising children is lots of love, number
yes,
one, lots of training. Number two, they need to know exactly what they're supposed to do and what they're not supposed to do. If they don't even know, how can you spank a kid for doing something if they don't even know what the rules are?
yeah,
You can't just spank them because you didn't like it,
yeah.
whatever the result was.
And sometimes spanking isn't always the answer too. I
Right.
know a lot of parents don't necessarily love that. We just did a counseling session with somebody, and I had to tell them, when your kids get older, it doesn't always work that way, and then you got to figure out like, okay, why are they doing things out of it? Talking with them really does help.
Yeah, absolutely. So we we started disciplining our kids. Usually they were about 8 months old.
Hmm.
That's when they usually will throw something at you off the high chair,
Yeah,
or scream and yell in a restaurant, or throw a fit.
yeah,
And so we started disciplining them then, and it's just pretty mild discipline at that point. Maybe if they're going to throw stuff off the plate, you might smack their hand, not hard, but just to
yeah,
get them to know. And they usually cry right away.
yeah,
But on top of that, we're instructing them, this is not good. You can't do this. And then I remember raising the kids, we would always, before we went into a restaurant, this is when they were about 3, 4 years old. I would say 1 and 3 to 2 and 5 years old, because they're
how
3 years
to
apart.
act.
Yeah, tell them how to act. So, hey, I'm about to go into this Chick-fil-A here. Here's what you're going to do. And I give them all the instructions. Now, if you break these rules, then you and I are going to the bathroom and discipline's going to happen. So, of course, as little kids, they break the rules immediately. They're like, yeah, I'm going to test this.
Yeah,
Well, immediately and every single time and always, consistent, I would bring them into the restroom and give them a spanking for what they were doing, because they knew it was wrong.
yeah,
Now, if a kid spills a drink at a table or something like that, unless they're just losing their mind or they do it on purpose, if it's an accident, I don't discipline my kids for that, because even as adults,
yeah,
we spill things.
yeah.
So I don't do that, but I would definitely. So it's that love, the training, and then the follow through are those three things, and it has to start very early with kids.
Yeah, it does. It does make a difference when you start young and, like you're saying, being consistent.
Being consistent. The reason why they need lots of love is because the discipline is the opposite, and when you turn that love switch off to the discipline switch, kids just, man, they cannot stand it.
Mm-hmm.
They want that love dad back as soon as possible. And I think that's the key to training them. Bless you.
Excuse me.
That's the key to training them to be kids who listen to you and obey and do what you say. And our kids are great at that. Now, of course, older kids now, we don't spank our kids anymore. They're older, but they've already learned. They learned as young kids. So I remember for Caitlin, it was about 2.5 years old. The switch flipped.
Yeah.
She was like, I'm not going to disobey these guys anymore. Kinsey was a little stronger.
Yeah.
Took her till 3.5, and the switch flipped. And they just, after that, they were like, nope, I'm just going to do what he says to do. And they want that love dad there all the time. And that's another thing, just showing them love all the time. Even now at this age, teenagers, hugs, compliments, love, encouragement, all the time.
I think sometimes, if not more, teenagers. This is when the love is definitely more.
Yeah.
sometimes than the younger ones. I mean, the younger ones are just kind of like all over and they understand it, but when you get to the teenage stage, they need to feel that for sure.
Like so you teach preschool
Mm-hmm.
Monday through Thursday, right?
Yeah.
Each week. How do you get the kids? You get the kids that come in, and they don't have the discipline. They don't have the discipline and instruction that you and I are used to giving our children, and what we've
Yeah.
been able to produce in them. How do you get these kids that come in that don't know any of that? How do you get them to shape up and be the kid you want in your class? Because I watch you do it, and you do it with everyone that comes in.
Yeah, that's true. No, when we're all sitting down, it takes them a couple weeks for sure. I think with any of them, because it's a new setting and you're sitting at the table and we're doing our work and even to this day, it's been months and months and they're like, oh, but why do we have to do this? And I'm like, this is what we do every day. Like, and that's also repetition too with them because we do the same thing every day. The writing, the spelling, or whatever we're doing that day, they know, okay, this is what comes next. And that's the first thing they ask me. They're like, okay, where's our boards? We're going to write our name. We're going to practice our letters. Like they've already gotten used to that. And now when they come in, they're used to doing those same things every day. And, of course they'll try to ask me or try to get out of line, but you just being even calm with them, like you're saying too, and loving instead of lashing out. And, cause you ask these kids, we did this video on them and they were like, what's the one thing that you love about Miss Amber? And it kind of was funny to me because they all were like, that she loves us, and I'm like, oh man, like I'm thinking in my head, okay, but is there ever times that you think that I don't? Of course I love you guys, but yeah, like you're saying, showing them love because I feel like that's what they're needing instead of somebody lashing out them and beating them, not as a teacher but as a parent or something.
Sure. And so repetition, if you think about it, because what you were saying is repetition really is the key to that training.
Yes.
And so how important is routine in raising little kids, even from infants on up?
Yeah, I think that's very important. Brushing your teeth. When are we having prayer time? When are we everything? Otherwise it's just complete chaos, and that's hard for me personally. There's some people that actually thrive on that, but
kids really don't.
No, kids don't.
Kids don't. They love routine and they love pattern and they love consistency. Even and we learned this, raising little kids is having the same bedtime every night.
Yeah.
They have the same wake up time. They have the same eating times. They do the same things. It's instilling those habits in them that causes them to. What we've learned, you and I have learned, is that kids that have routine are more successful, are better students, are better behaved.
Yeah.
Kids that live in a chaotic household and routine are the opposite.
Yeah.
They struggle the most with everything, and that's because routine is needed to build that consistency of character, I think, to build the expectation that I know what's going to happen today.
Yeah.
I know exactly what's going to happen. I know exactly what to expect. This is going to be a good day,
Yeah. And we do that even as adults now to this day.
Sure.
You wake up, you pray, you do your morning routine, and then you go to work, do whatever you got to do, you come home.
Yeah, it is pretty routine, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Let's shift a little bit. Let's go from where we were with kids to somewhere totally different.
Okay.
And that is, romance in a relationship, having regular date nights, and that's not always easy to do.
No.
People with multiple kids and little kids, and some of them have kids that are 1 and 2 years apart. Finances is an issue. How do you maintain that? How do you maintain that? I don't know, that romance level when you're being spit up on 5 times a day and, you're changing diapers all day and you feel like you're just this zombie overwhelmed by kids.
I think you and I, even, if you have family in town, of course, you just take them to them. But for those people that don't have that, we would always tell them like, "Hey, come and bring them over to our house so that
Mhm.
you
Sure.
guys can go out." And I think that's just being a good friend too, though. Like if you know that somebody doesn't have family here, making sure that they can even go out and have their time because it is important for you and I. You know, we tell our girls that all the time. They're like, "Oh, why can't we go with you somewhere or something?" But you know, we always explain to them like this makes us better parents, better for you, better for our own selves when it's just me and dad time to have our hangout time. Um, we need that so that we're better coming
Yeah.
on the opposite side of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you and I have done that many times. We've told young couples, especially
Yeah.
when it looks like you can see them, dude. They come into church. One kid's hanging on one arm, another kid's being drugged almost by the wrist, and the backpack, and food's everywhere, and the one kid's
It's hard.
crying, and it's like we and you and I have often gone to them. Hey, do you need a date night?
Yeah.
Why don't you bring your kids to our house?
Yeah.
You and your husband go and have some fun. And there are people that don't have anyone,
I
no
know.
family in town,
Yeah.
no friends. They haven't been in town a long time. So that's
And it's hard to
something,
even get somebody you can trust. I mean, yeah, we can tell
right?
them all they want, but even if you go and like, remember we used to at IKEA, they would watch your kids,
Oh
even if you're
yeah,
going there.
we would take advantage of that.
Yeah,
Drop the
find
kids off at
somewhere.
IKEA.
Yeah,
Play. See you later. We're just going to go get our
Find
free cup of coffee
somewhere.
as IKEA members.
Yeah.
And just walk around and
that
look at
can
furniture.
watch your kids and
Yeah.
you still be there. But yeah, it's important to get that time.
It is. So so date nights is one. What about surprises?
No, I love that.
You love surprises.
I
Okay.
love surprises.
So usually, like me, I could care less, right?
Yeah.
But I'm the person that really is like, I don't know. I'm just not that fun, I guess. I think
You are fun.
I think I'm just
You
like the
are.
most easygoing. Like I could care less about gifts or anything. Nothing really. I don't need anything. Let me just say that.
Yeah.
I love having fun. I
Yeah.
love doing things. Don't get me wrong. It's not like that. But I'm just easygoing. But so surprise, fine. No surprise, fine. To me, doesn't matter. But for you,
Yeah.
surprises are like you like that.
Yes. I
So
love
what?
it.
Give us an example. What do you like? What would be something that a surprise liker like yourself would be saying? This is what I'm looking for.
Yeah. Well, I think there was a few instances where you would just come home with like a cool pair of shoes or something, and you thought that I would like it, and you're like, I just saw these in the store, and I thought you'd like it, or you know, saying, hey, we're gonna go somewhere, but I'm not gonna tell you, and then surprising me later. Of course, I love surprises, but at the same time, like I know you would say, I always try to figure them out.
You do. You're like a detective.
Yes, and so I have to learn. Maybe because I love surprises, I should learn myself to just like let the surprises happen and flow, and instead of always maybe trying to control the situation too at the same time, like trying to figure it out or something.
Right.
Like this is something I love, then just let it go. Like if you wanted to surprise me, like no, this is what we're gonna do.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Cool. So surprise. Yes. What about flowers? Are you a flower person?
I like flowers, but because they die so quickly, it's okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know that I love daisies. Daisies.
That's your favorite.
Yeah.
Sure.
They last longer, so that's why I love them.
Yeah. So flowers is good. All right.
Yeah. But I would find the one thing that your wife really loves, or your spouse, your husband. What is something? What would you say that is something that you love? You don't like surprises, but what is something that if
Something
somebody?
that I love to do.
Yeah.
I love to hang out with you. I love, going out to eat is fun. Anything that spends time with you, that's all I need. I don't
Yeah.
care about gifts or nothing like that. But if you surprised me and you said, "Hey, go get your shoes on, put a
We're
jacket
going.
on, we're going somewhere," I'm not going to. That's fine. I
Yeah.
have no problem with that.
And
I
you're
enjoy
pretty
that.
easy with that. Yeah.
I enjoy that. And but yeah, I like all that kind of stuff. Is fun too. But what about trying new things?
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that you like, trying new things?
Yes.
What kind of new things? What is something that you would like to do that you haven't done?
Oh, I think you and I talked about this. We're like just taking a dance class together or something. I think
Oh,
that
a
would be fun
dance
with our
class.
friends.
Oh,
Yes, learning how to like dance more, not like professionally, I guess, but like just more fun when you're like out with your friends.
You mean like ballroom dancing or something?
Not ballroom either, but just like casual.
What would casual
I don't
dancing
know.
be?
I don't
Tell me,
know what's
please.
like
What is
a
that?
regular dancing. I don't know. It's not ballroom
I think
either,
it's
though.
ballroom, man. I think that we talking salsa.
Maybe.
What do you mean, break
Maybe
dancing?
salsa. Yeah, on our heads.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Well, I think yeah, dance class would be fun. I mean, I'm not a dancer, but I mean, I would try it. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not like it's not like I can't learn to dance.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I can learn to dance. But I mean, it's not like my favorite thing to do. But I
Yeah.
would definitely do it. But no, I mean, I think dancing's fun.
Something out in nature. I love that too. Just going out and, I don't know, hiking or something.
Yeah, trying new
We haven't
things.
done that actually in a while, so.
Hiking is fun.
Hmm.
What about think about this? How how strong is your faith in marriage? What let me say this. How important is it
Hmm.
that you are able to exercise your faith, that you're able to express it, that you're able to attend church with the person that you love? How important is the role of faith been in your marriage becoming what it is today?
I think it's very important. I think if you were not to have that, I could see a lot of problems arising, and again, like where the enemy would try to take advantage of that. But because we both know the Lord, love the Lord, we can always go to Him for certain things that we would need. Like
Yeah.
you even say, you and I always joke, like, I think when there's like something that doesn't happen, not that there's nothing that happens, but if maybe there's something more that we would want to see, then we're always going to God. And then like it shows up,
Yeah,
like,
sure.
and it happens. So I think without that, that would be hard.
Yeah, and even when like if I'm going through hard things, your faith in God and your relationship with God is what causes you to be strong enough not only just for you but for me too,
Right.
and to pull me
Yeah.
up.
If there's something that you're really struggling with, then we can both be praying about it together for sure.
Yeah, and I do the same for you. If you're going through something, it's that role. It's our faith in God. It's our relationship with Him. It's our strength that pulls us up. If we didn't have that, I don't see how you could make it.
Yeah.
You
I don't
know,
know.
I mean, I don't even know how we'd make it because we've had to rely on God for everything.
Yes.
I mean, I guess you would say to anybody that's watching this, couples or anybody who say, "Man, you got to make sure your relationship with God is strong, that
Yeah.
it's relevant, that it's right now, that it's not something you're leaning on from the past, but that you're developing those that prayer life and scriptures and all that on a daily basis."
Yeah. And that's why they say too, like, to find somebody. What's the saying? Find. I'm
You got a
drawing
saying
blank.
over there that's brewing.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank. Like to find, love God before you find somebody that you love or something. I don't know. Now I'm drawing a
Well, I
blank.
don't know, but what I tell people is, you know what? Look for the relationship with God in a person more than anything else. If you're going to
Yeah.
get married or you're looking for a partner, what is their relationship with God like? That's what you're going to end up with.
Yeah.
Because when you meet a person, we all put our best foot forward.
Make sure they love God more than you.
Yeah, they have to love God more than you. And you're only going to find that out as time goes by and you come to a bump in the road, and that's when you're going to find out how deep does that person's faith really go. And it's going to appear for sure.
Yeah, because you do hear of relationships where one is stronger with God than the other, or maybe one that's not walking with God as much,
Sure.
and it is more of a struggle for them.
It is more of a struggle. It's harder because when that person's down, if you are married to a person and they don't know the Lord, because that happens too.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people get married and then they don't realize that person didn't have a relationship with God like they thought, or wasn't interested in walking with God like they thought. What makes it so difficult is when that person that has the relationship with God is down, the other person that doesn't have it has a harder time pulling them up because they have no foundation to rely on. They have no foundation to spring off of, because it is that foundation with God that can pull one person with another all together.
Well, and I like it when like I'm going through something hard, and then you can, we'll pull out the Bible. We'll be like, "This is what the Word says," and like I like those moments when
Sure.
when you're just not thinking straight, and I need somebody to help me with something.
Yeah. How about this? You know, how do you balance? You have church family, you have your family, and you have extended family too.
Hmm.
And so now, how do you set those boundaries? Because now you have to have the tightest thing has to be your family,
Hmm.
and then you have also the needs of the church family, but then you also have the pull of your extended family, relatives, you know. And so, how have you been able to establish those boundaries in order to not give up your family in order to take care of others, but to keep yours
Yeah, I think you and I
ahead?
have talked about that where we just have to, if I'm really struggling maybe with something, um, on not necessarily my immediate family, but somewhere else, whether it be church or extended, if I'm really struggling, I have to learn to pull myself back from that, look at the situation and be like, okay, is this going to keep me healthy, or am I just, is it okay to pull myself away from this person because um, it's just causing me stress and stuff that I don't need necessarily. I think that's something that I've had to learn, as the years have gone by, because for myself, I'm just more like, how can I help you? I want to do everything that I can, and I would always give everything to that person. But then it's like, where am I left? I'm
Right.
giving so much of myself to that person. I don't have any more for myself, and I've had to learn that it's okay to just step back away from it and do the things that are right for your health, for your stress levels, and
Yeah. For your
your own
own
self.
sanity
Yeah,
sometimes, I mean, it's like, yeah, you have to set those boundaries for sure because relationships are supposed to be mutually beneficial,
yeah,
which is why they're relationships.
yeah,
And so when they're out of balance like that and you're always giving but you're never receiving,
yeah.
it becomes something that isn't sustainable.
Right.
And so you do have to set those boundaries as couples. We have to set the boundaries of how much influence do people have in our marriage and our kids'
Yes.
relationships. I can tell you this, it's not going to be a lot.
No.
And people that are stepping over those bounds, they have to be given boundaries and it has to be communicated to them. And they have to accept that. And if
Yeah.
they don't, well, then there's going to be some distance
Yeah.
placed there until you can figure it out. Because the one thing we can't do is allow other people to step into our marriage relationship that we're not asking to step in.
Yeah.
You know,
And like, and even in the beginning years, when we were married, if we would go and ask somebody, and then we'd come back to that and be like, this is how, and then, but then it would cause fights between us. So it's like, yeah, as you just learn as the more that you go, that we have to sometimes just keep that stuff to ourselves, and just work on it together.
yeah, setting those boundaries is
Yeah.
something you have to have. Um, so what about like things that you're interested in? Creating a culture in our marriage where we're interested in also what the other person's interested in. So, for instance, there's things that I'm interested in that maybe you're not so much, and there's things you're interested in that maybe I'm not so much.
Yeah.
But we bring those things together anyways, and we experience them together because that's important in a marriage.
Yeah.
To be interested in what your partner's interested in, even though maybe it's not your favorite thing.
Yeah. I think even just like yesterday, I was like, we're going somewhere to a kid's place, and I was like, now that our girls are older, I know that you don't like that as much because it's just, there's a lot of screaming kids. It's hard and stuff. But if it's just like going to be fun for our kids, I don't mind it. So I even said that to you. I was like, you don't have to go if you don't want to. And you're like, no, I want to go because I'll be with you. So,
Oh, look at that. I'm scoring points right now. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, yeah. But, yeah, so that was good. Things like that. That's again though compromise, like
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
You don't
sure.
always necessarily love to do stuff, and maybe there's something I don't know that I don't necessarily love fishing. I don't know, but see, when you're out fishing, I like to just be
You're
out in
outdoors.
nature.
Yeah.
So
You'll sit
I'm
there
like,
and
I love
watch.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So there are things you can find.
yeah.
Um,
Find the best. What is the best thing that you can find? So I've known couples, yeah, where they don't always necessarily have a lot of stuff in common, but like that as using an example, okay, you feel like maybe you were doing too much stuff, right? Or I have to try to find out, okay, how can I help you with that
yeah.
thing?
There's got to be something good in this.
Yeah.
You can find some way to enjoy yourself. And by the way, enjoyment often is a choice.
Yeah.
You can choose to be upset that you're where you are, or you can
Yeah.
choose to be happy.
Yeah.
Like even that was yesterday. We went to that kid's place, and man, it was packed.
It was
And it
crazy.
was
Even
a-
I was a little like, oh my gosh, there's a lot of kids.
But I had a great time because I was with you.
Yeah.
And so what did we do? We just started talking.
Yeah.
And
hanging
we
out.
hung out and had a good time, not worrying about what all the kids are doing and everything. And, all the, it's probably like a biome for disease in there, I mean, it's just like
Oh,
all those,
gosh, yeah.
all those hands, all those hands.
Oh,
It's just
yeah.
you're like, oh my God. But no, it's good. It's good.
Yeah.
You just hand sanitize afterwards. But that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
And there are, as couples, we see the opposite of things like that. We're like, yeah, I don't like it at all. But at the same time, I'm willing to go, and all of you guys coming on the trip to Brazil and helping me minister there
That was actually a lot of fun.
was really great. And I know you guys weren't super excited about it at first. You were
Just
a
the
little nervous.
travels. Yeah.
It's
we
a
were
lot
nervous.
of travel. It's a long trip.
I was even nervous. I mean, even though our girls are older now, I was a little nervous. Like, are they going to be okay? And I think I was the one that was more antsy than anybody. Like, I can't sit this long.
Yeah. No, they did great.
They did really good.
Those are those things where you just kind of compromise and go for what will help the other person. So some of the key takeaways I think for this talk, this little session here is, finding a person who loves God more than you.
Yes.
Right?
That's what
Right.
that's what I was trying
Is
to
that
say.
what you're looking for? Yeah, I was looking for it too.
Yeah.
Finding someone that loves God more than you. Always being consistent in every area of your life, no matter what it is. Be honest, communicate, follow through with
Yeah.
what you're supposed to do. I think as guys, oftentimes what happens in the relationship and in the marriage, there comes a point where we have to step up.
Yeah.
I remember that time for me, it was when we started having kids. I had to step up to another level of being a husband. What do I mean by that? Another level of communication with you, another level of helping with everything around the house,
Yeah.
another level of making sure the kids are taken care of, another level of making sure you're going out on dates with me. I mean, I just had to step it up in every area of my life in order to make this family work.
Yeah, well, and if you didn't for like trying to pull stuff out of me, then you realize later on that was my how I would. So then you would try to pull it out before it even got that bad.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
and
if you step up
that's-
to another level, it
yeah.
definitely is. A positive message about marriage. What do you love about it? Besides me, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, what is it?
What do I love about it? Well, I love that you get to be with your best friend every day. Even though this walk with you has not been the easiest,
Sure.
there would not be any other way that I would do it besides with you, because I know that there's been so many times where I was just like ready to quit. And I was like, I can't. And
Now, when you say that, you're not talking about the marriage. You're talking about the church, aren't
the
you?
church. Sorry, we'll be more specific. Yeah.
Good. That helps because that's what I
Not
thought.
with you.
I
no.
know because pastoring a church, like I've said many times,
Yeah.
one of the hardest jobs in the world. It is not easy.
Yeah.
But you do a great job at it. Honey. I mean, you do so well.
Yeah, and there's parts that both of us, help with each other on that. But just for the church part, yeah, that's easy. With the partner for in itself, but marriage, yeah, like I like that we both get to do this together. I know that when sometimes when couples are apart, if we had separate jobs, I think it would be, now that I'm used to this, doing stuff every day with you, it would be hard for me because I would miss you all day. I'd be like that. I'm so used to it. And I love it. So it would be hard.
Yeah. It is. I mean, it is interesting doing life with your best friend. I mean,
Yes.
that's you and that's me, right? And we get to do this together is a real blessing. But the more you work at your marriage, the more you work at loving your partner, at doing the things that you need to do to make sure they're being taken care of and they're happy. And it
Yeah.
has to be on both sides, though. It can't be lopsided. It has to be both people serving the other.
Yeah.
And if I'm willing to serve you and you're willing to serve me, I mean, you can't lose.
And encouraging each other, because I know there's a lot of times where I'm like really struggling with stuff. You just sit there and you encourage me through it all. So, yeah.
Well, you do the same for me.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you know what? This has been a great time and a great
Yes.
talk. I'm glad you came to hang out with me. I hope you guys that are watching, you get some tips. I hope that you see some things that help you, and we'll see you on the next one. And hopefully we'll do another one on some, I'm sure.
Yes.
But
I'm
thanks,
sure.
Amber.
Yes,
Love you.
You're welcome. Love
Thanks,
you too.
guys. We'll see you soon.